No, intros are so awkward. Because we missed a lot of good stuff we were already talking about. Like, did you ever grow up with those shows like, people getting sent to another world?
I can't think of one, but I probably have.
I had Samurai Jack, obviously, as I mentioned.
There's that.
I would have to say the 1990s Spider-Man animated series, because there was a couple episodes where Spidey was taken to another universe.
Yeah.
Okay. Those were good. I remember when they redid the Secret Wars in that Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah.
I loved it. But it's the one thing I remember about those cartoons is that how buff everyone is.
Yeah.
Like even Doc Ock, he's ripped.
It's the 90s, dude.
That was like my favorite villain back then was Doc Ock.
Oh, dude, Doc Ock has gotten so much love in the last decade.
And he's just a good villain, I think. I like Kingpin too, even though
he was fantastic. He's still fantastic.
And the guy that played him in Daredevil.
Oh,
the Daredevil movie or the Daredevil?
Oh no, not the Daredevil movie. Oh no,
Netflix series.
No, yes.
No, but to be fair, the Kingpin in that movie was really good. Like if you took, let's make a live action version of Kingpin from the Spider-Man cartoon, that's how I would see him. He played that character.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Like that movie, like love it or hate it, like Kingpin was solid.
Yeah. Bullseye was kind of weird.
Yeah, it could have been so much more. That's the thing. It could have been so much more.
Go. It's like that's back in the age where like they just weren't trying the same level as they are now with these movies. Like look at the Marvel movies that are like spot on. They're the people who are writing them know what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's like
whoever thought we'd get a accurate Doctor Strange movie, a couple decades ago.
Yeah, everyone thought that was at least a pipe dream until the good people at Marvel and also the casting. It's very hard to cast these characters, but it also shows the level of commitment they have because they say we really care about the actors.
Yeah,
we really care about the casting of these characters, and we would hire these Oscar-worthy actors.
Yeah, the one movie they still need to fix is Fantastic Four. They
haven't cracked it. They have not cracked it. I will admit, they have not cracked it.
I will say this: if anyone can crack the Fantastic Four movie, it's gonna be Marvel themselves. Because think about it, all the other ones. There's the OG one that was never released to theaters because it was just to keep the license. Which, for a product of its time, it's fun for one of those like it's so bad it's good kind of watches.
Yes.
So it's not irredeemable. Then the new Fantastic Four movies that Fox did, like the Jessica Alba was in those, right?
I didn't hate that.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't hate that, and you know what? I kind of like the second one. I remember the scene where like they give all their powers to Torch, and I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of a cool fight scene.
Yeah, but like Galactus was weird and.
Galactus cloud.
Yeah,
it didn't quite hit. They only took a partial part of they took liberties on a lot of the story, especially of that story arc. But that's the thing, they shouldn't.
Yeah, that's a legendary tale in Marvel Comics. You kind of got to be faithful to it.
Yeah,
that's why when like they do adaptations of things. I don't get why they couldn't like read the comic or like play the video game. Like video game movies like could be so good if they just play the game. Like Assassin's Creed. That was my favorite like video game series for a while. Kind of still is, but like I haven't played since after I played Unity for like 5 minutes. I wanted to like throw up. So but before that, Black Flag was the last one that I actually played that I actually liked. I even have the fucking tattoo. So I watched the movie and it has like little hints of the game, but most of it is just terrible. So like the Animus thing, Like what? It's so weird.
Okay, let's be honest though that the story of Assassin's Creed is already kind of all over the place.
Well, the story technically ended when Desmond died. Spoiler if people haven't played it yet.
And what is your problem?
Yeah. So if Desmond didn't die, well, because there's like a thing that I thought that he could have still been alive, because like there's this like light or something at the end when he's like dying, and there's a light from like his soul or something. It could have went into something else. So I thought like maybe, because I thought their whole plan was they're gonna go up to like present day, like his time, and he would be the assassin.
Mhm.
But that didn't happen. So I was just like so confused. Like, why would you like kill him here?
Well, it's because they got to make their money for this franchise, right?
Yeah.
A potential franchise.
Yeah.
That's a keyword, potential.
Yeah. But I mean, like the Assassin's Creed thing is like, oh, we're looking at genetic memory. I'm like, as a concept, like it's cool, especially for like a movie or a game, like it just gives you flashbacks and all that. But I always don't like those stories which are looks back, because at the end of the day where everything's gonna go. So like that this character dies, or you're his descendant, which means he had kids, which means he found love, which means this and that.
Yeah, like there's certain things that I can already like piece together before even like seeing the actual movie or whatever game.
So always remember that every time you play a character in Assassin's Creed, they fucked.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way this whole thing works. I always find it funny when I'm watching like things current, your descendants. I'm like, wait, but the character doesn't even have kids yet. How does that work? I always find that funny. But like, I'm talking about video game movies. I'm thinking about like, did you ever see Prince of Persia, the movie?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It was a perfectly serviceable movie. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible.
Could have been better.
And I've never played any of these, but they're making Uncharted, like Drake Uncharted.
Now, I have definitely played the series. It's one of my favorite series, and I'm very nervous.
Yeah,
Because
Tom
what's happening-
Holland. Tom Holland actually, I guess, doesn't think he's gonna do good in that movie, which is pretty bad because he's the actor in the movie that plays him, plays the character.
Tom Holland's a little young for it though. Right now he gets a teenager.
Yeah,
But he doesn't look like he's in his 20s yet. He hasn't hit that growth.
yeah,
He hasn't hit his full puberty yet. I love the actor; he's really good, but like, I can't see him as Nathan Drake. I see him as Nathan Drake's sidekick.
yeah, yeah. That's why, like, when I saw that somewhere that he doesn't have like confidence in himself of like, oh, he's trying to be like, I saw like he was trying to be like more perfect, like to a T. I was like, oh, was that good acting? Like he kept asking the director or whatever, the cast, like, oh, was that good? Or, like, should I do it again? Like he's more comfortable being like Spider-Man than
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Spider-Man is like he also knows all those guys at this point.
yeah.
When he plays Spider-Man, he's not playing Spider-Man with a bunch of new people. He's getting back into a role he already knows. I was actually watching this really cool video essay on it where like, when you see the Avengers, when you see those guys sit down and talk to each other and act, one of the reasons why it's so good is because they've been playing those characters for so long. Because you're not used to seeing that in movies. You're used to seeing that in TV series where these people know the characters, they know how they're going to act, they know how they're going to react. And whenever you see like a movie, it's like this is the first time they're all playing these characters. And they've been together for a few best. And like, okay, cool. Then they leave and don't come back. Maybe they'll do a sequel. But like with these movies, are like every year they're doing something together.
Yeah.
So like Tom Holland's like, oh cool, I worked with these guys. I worked with these guys again. I'm still working with these guys. He's still making movies because Spider-Man is that Marvel cash cow that they will just milk until eternity.
We've talked on multiple occasions, like on our other podcast or whatever, like SeerNova podcast, and breakfast talk about like reboots and stuff, and like how like why is there so many reboots?
Well, the lack of original ideas.
Yeah,
Well, it's
I
also
actually came up with like a slogan, I guess, or it's like a tagline, same thing. I don't know. For like like SeerNova. When I was creating our new like bio link for Instagram, I did that like the other day. Well, I finished it last night when I had nothing else to do. I didn't want to go to sleep. So it says originality starts here, because yeah, I'm trying to be original with shit, even though like almost every story has already been told, just it's now being told a different way.
yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I remember there was this little joke. Like I was actually in a writing class back at university, and the teacher was he brought in these guys who worked at Bioware as writers, and they were telling the story about how one of them worked at Disney for a while, and they joked like there's only 4 stories ever told, and we just keep retelling them. And so like, yeah, that's the Disney formula, and they joked about that. And then somebody from higher up at Disney came down and was like, okay, cool, there's only 4 stories ever told, and we just keep retell them in different ways. And he said like, and at that moment I just died internally. Okay, like piece of me just like dropped dead. And like, it's kind of true. Like, looking back on it, there's only so many stories or structures or formats that have ever been told, and we just keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah, that's actually, I think Dylan mentioned that, or someone mentioned that before. There is only 4 stories that have ever been that you can do, and then you just tweak it a little. So
yeah,
yeah.
Because then the thing is that if you deviate too far from that, you just don't make things entertaining. I'm not going to write a story about me sitting down on my computer all day writing. Like, and then I thought about this idea, and then I thought it's like not entertaining, because when you write these stories, you write them to be fun, entertaining, maybe teach a lesson, like make you think. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that actually reminds me, because I came up with 3 new comic ideas, like plots that have nothing to do with my superhero stuff. And one actually reminds me of like Misery, because just how it is. So there's this artist that want to like collaborate with me, and then I sent her the 3 story ideas, and then she hasn't said anything yet back. She's probably busy with like her own comic or whatever. But the one is literally like Misery. It's not like a complete copy, because it's a little different, but it's almost the same thing of like this obsessed fan kidnaps this person that's part of a band, like giving away my plot. I'm like, they kidnap this person that's part of the band, and then they are forcing the band member to like remake an album, because like their new music like sucks. So like, I don't like this album. So they have to like redo it or whatever. So they have a whole studio. Yeah, so it's a lot like Misery. Instead of writing a new book, it's like you're stuck inside a studio, and like you're being tortured until you actually like make your album. So
to be fair though, that kind of sounds like any of us who've ever written anything. Like, I'm just gonna lock myself in my room until like I finish this damn chapter.
Yeah.
It's just like basically the externalization of our sentiment when we write. And I just use a lot of big words. Wow.
Yeah, like when I made the Seer Chronicles for the first time, before I edited it like a bunch, it was like a over 1,200 page story. So that's what it started as. And when I started that one night, I just kept on writing, and I didn't go to sleep for like hours. So like I was awake from 11, like I was awake that entire day up into like 5 or 6 a.m. or something like that of the next morning. And then I like took a little break and did like whatever I had to do. I didn't have a job at that time, so like I didn't have any like obligation to go anywhere. And then I just kept writing for the next like month or 2. All I did was write that, because I didn't go to sleep, because I had new ideas popping in my head, like, oh, I can use this person as a character. Because I use like people from my actual life as like certain characters. If you knew like certain friends of mine, you'll be able to see that when you read my comics. So yeah, I didn't go to sleep for a while when I was writing that. And that started to leak into like other stories that I've done. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way when it comes to creating characters, I do like to add people that I know just to keep it real.
yeah. And like
Just
I
keep it real.
yeah, and I can actually like, because most people don't know the person that I'm using as a character. So like I have my friend Ryan as this archer character, like a Green Arrow type character.
Yeah.
So I take his personality and then I just like I add something else to it to, because for the story. So like in real life, hoping that never happens, his wife dies. His wife is dead. So the story actually doesn't have an origin yet. Like I already wrote the origin, but like I'm not releasing the origin yet. So the first issue is actually going to be like months after the origin actually already happened, and he's already like a badass like superhero. But he has that personality of like the actual real person, and I actually did that for a number of people that are in like the Seer Chronicles too and stuff. There's a character that I used to be friends with, and he's not my friend anymore, and he's a character that's in the second issue of Seer Chronicles, but I don't want to name the actual person. But he he later has like a death,
Oh God.
and it's like very very bad because I don't like this person. So like, and I gave it like fan service to my friend Ryan because he really doesn't like this person. So I'm like, your character is going to kill this guy.